What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Getting ready here for our live stream. It is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. What a beautiful, beautiful moment to share together with all of you. What a gift and a grace to be alive and to share this moment of life with you all. We're going to talk about what's going on currently in the markets today. We're looking at Bitcoin trading at $34,450 on the 3-day log scale here. You can see this long wick forming. More than that, you see that we've had a couple of these long wicks in the past, just over a couple of weeks ago, right? This was going back to May 19th, that bloody, bloody day we saw in the markets over there. All coins wiped out, Bitcoin wiped out over here, leverage wiped out, price recovered, and has since come back down, tested not once, but twice, right? We're going to take a look at the technicals. We're going to focus in on the technicals and see what's going down as we drop down to the 8-hour time frame. Before we do, I want you to notice over here the last swing low that we took over here back in January. Those stops, or anyone who had stops underneath that low, those were taken out. Follow my mouse over to the right. You see it was about by $200. These anyone who had stops there just too tight below that, did that trigger the liquidity event? I don't know. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to dig deep into it. We're going to get off the log. We're going to see what's going on over here. All we could say on the daily time frame right now, we are making a higher high than the previous daily. We are up about, what is this? Is this 10, 20, 8, I don't know. It's 20%, right, off the low, right? But jump down over here. This is where I want you to focus on the 8-hour with me, right? We are right now coming up into resistance. Not only the resistance of this trend line over here, marked as yellow for caution, but also horizontal resistance. You can see it over here where my mouse hairs are, right? Follow it over to the right, and we're coming up into an area of resistance. I know everyone feels a lot better, right? Or I should say those that are bullish feel a lot better right now as we've sprang up 20% off the low. Yeah, of course. We were bleeding out yesterday morning. A lot of people were quite fearful. This looks a lot more hopeful, but right now it's hopeful. And the bottom line is things are still very unclear, right? Things are again, when we broke above this trend line just last week, what did I say? I said, I know everyone is looking to jump into leverage positions, but things are still unclear, and things remain unclear until we break above this trend line over here. A lot of people do not want to deploy that type of patience. A lot of people, they want it, and they want it now. That's not how it works. Things became uncertain. Since they've become uncertain, we're kind of like, we're in defensive posture here. Once we break the momentum to the upside, you've heard me saying this repeatedly, but you've heard me saying it repeatedly now for 4 or 5 weeks because nothing has changed. It's the way it is, all right? I want to make sure no one gets into the, let's say, no one gets into the danger of just taking things for granted and all of a sudden putting themselves into a position where they get hurt. We are coming up into resistance right now. We still have a lot of work to do. If we're able to regain this level, this clone trend line over here, trade above it, that's a sign things are looking a little bit better. We just recently had a fake out. You have to be concerned about another one happening. Nevertheless, if we are able to break above that horizontal resistance and that trend line resistance, this area over here, yeah, then there's a good chance the bottom is put in. A good chance. Let's take a look at a few different things. First of all, what are you talking about, a bear trap? We're all looking at the Wyckoff, by the way, right? Over here, we're all looking at this beautiful schematic. And over here on the 8-hour, Jeremy has overlaid the 8-hour time frame, right? I've been trading the 8-hour time frame for now 14 years. 8-hour divided into 3 sessions. You got the, opening up with the Asia session, then the London, then the New York, 24 hours in a day. 3 sessions, 14 years. I believe it's the best time frame to trade. Here, Jeremy's overlaying it, right? Bitcoin never sleeps, open 24 hours a day. And you can't deny the symmetry that we're seeing, right? Did we just see yesterday the spring or the shakeout occur? As what happened? Let me break this down really quick and really simple. I want you to focus over here, right? You can see the selling climax, the secondary test, this area, right? As price comes down, are people using that as an opportunity to trade a breakout, right? Are people who are bearish, right? What happens is price comes down, right? Price, let's follow it. Everyone's bullish, rightfully so, right? Are there the people who afterwards are like, oh yeah, I took profit up here? There are a lot, and there are some. There are large wallets who did, by the way. We've looked at on-chain analytics, and you can see, starting over here in February and all through this area, large wallets taking profits. They also accumulated in early, as we did, or as I did, and most of you did during the accumulation phase of the previous cycle. How do you do that, by the way? How could you possibly be accumulating into the bottom of a nasty bear market if you did not understand the 4-year cycle? We'll talk about that a little bit later. If you're watching this on the replay, lots of love to you. The comments have been absolutely outstanding. I feel like, I'm in the flow with you all the time. If you're watching this live, and at any point during this session, you feel so inclined to go ahead and smash that like button and help support the channel, I'd be grateful for that. Really, I just want to send a nice friendly reminder. If you get the opportunity to help support the channel and the work by smashing the like button, by spreading some love, be grateful for that. What happened? As price started coming down, everyone started getting very negative, very emotional. Do you see all across crypto Twitter, all across YouTube, here in the comments, the negativity, the loudness, the angry child throwing a tantrum, and how disgusting it is? It really is. By the way, there's a difference between like saying be kind to people, and there's a difference between like when someone is spreading negativity, saying, okay, this is not for you. I am forming a community here that I love, that I could nurture, that I could go ahead and use to go ahead and do legendary things, right? So time to time, you need to kind of weed out the garden. There's no problem there. By the way, spamming someone's leverage monkey, spamming someone's Twitter thread, not just mine, you're spamming everyone's out there, and you're like, why are people blocking you? I'm like, because you're spamming that thread. And then you spam every one of my, there's a difference between being kind and not. So let's not get confused, because a lot of people get confused. This is the internet. This was a big wake-up call, this period over here, these last 5 weeks, about how confused people are. I'll try my best to take as many with me, but you know what? Many are called and few are chosen, right? It's the silent majority that's going to be there. I already know they are. No problem with that. All right, so a lot of people became very bearish after experiencing this, right? And then what happened? Most of those people are now hearing things in their head, and it could be true, right? Is it possible Bitcoin's going to trade down to, $25,000, mid-20s? Of course, it's entirely possible. We're just coming into some resistance right now. We could definitely resume off this resistance, and the downtrend is still strongly in place. Could we be seeing things like $20,000? It would be highly unusual. It would be the first time Bitcoin ever went and retested that previous cycle all-time high after breaking above it by such a margin. But it's the markets. Anything can happen. It's entirely plausible. Is Bitcoin going down to $8,000 or $9,000? Listen, I think you missed the boat. Anything could happen. I don't know. But a lot of people over here who are in this constant like feedback loop of these angry children yelling and screaming, Bitcoin's going low and lower, they took the breakdown over here, right? They followed the momentum, and as price yesterday comes down, they start selling over here. They're either exiting their positions. Man, if you're exiting your Bitcoin position, what does that mean, right? That myself buying the dip the last 2 weeks, and then you look at like those larger wallets who are taking profits along this way over here and have been accumulating. You could follow the on-chain analytics, right? They've been accumulating. They're taking your Bitcoin. You're giving it up freely though, so that's on you. No problem. If you want to sell your Bitcoin in a bull market, that I hope you didn't make that decision irrationally. I hope that was your plan. I hope your plan was that if Bitcoin came off, 60%, 50% from the all-time high, that you're selling your Bitcoin, rather than like, oh, I'm using that as an opportunity, perhaps mid-cycle, to add to my position. Whatever you did, I just hope that you're following your plan and you're not doing this like off the cuff. My plan has been from the very beginning. Before the halving, I announced my plan and told you all my plan and shared my plan. With my spot Bitcoin, I am not selling at all during the bull market phase. I am selling at the cycle peak, right? The only thing that deviated from my plan with price coming off 50% and me viewing that as an unexpected opportunity was that I added to my position. All right, Let's keep going over here. What are we looking at? We're talking about the people who were selling their Bitcoin yesterday and perhaps what that might have been and what that might have caused. Let's look at a bear trap, right? A bear trap is a false technical indication, right, of reversal from a down to an up market that could lure unsuspecting investors. Who are the unsuspecting investors over here? Perhaps those that are selling the breakdown. Remember, we don't sell breakdowns, right? In a bull market, we do. In a bull market with momentum, we're always learning. Oh, I'm a student of the markets, and I have been now for 21 years. A student of the market. Every day I have something to learn. Is it better to say? Is it more accurate to say, in a bull market phase with momentum? Because right now we don't have momentum to the upside. I'm only looking to buy in a bull market. I don't sell in a bull market. Again, this was qualified before the bull market even got started, right? When I have momentum again, when I break above here, I'll be trading the bull market again, right? I stopped over here, May 14th. I stopped trading. I'm neutral. And things have been unclear since, right? When things get clear, when I have the momentum back on my side and I'm trading again, buying breakouts on Bitcoin and on crypto, of course, 100% all day long, right? Selling a bull market, never for me. I've made that clear from the very beginning. Are people selling this breakdown yesterday? Perhaps that would qualify as one of the criteria for a bear trap. Look, this could occur in all markets. A bear trap, we need to look at this one together, can often be triggered by a decline that induces market participants to open up shorts, right? Which lose value, and then they got to cover. Everyone, or all of you, I should say, have been watching the shorts accumulating on Bitfinex, and then we had Pure Vita share with us from all the different markets the amount of shorts, and it was seemingly about like 50-50 between longs and shorts from all the different exchanges that he showed me. But did we have into that event a lot of shorts taking place, which have now covered? Is that adding to that spring off the bottom? I don't know. It seems like they were closing. It seems to me, looking at that objectively, that the shorts were actually closing as we were coming down. To me, whoever was short on the derivative markets, as price was coming down to where a lot of retail sprung over here, they were actually covering their shorts. Now, did the covering of the shorts contribute to the price spike up? Because it's a massive spike we're looking at over here. We're looking at over 20% in just last, call it 24 hours. It's a big, yes, I would say that the coverings of those short positions are contributing to that because they're massive. Was it the cause of the bear trap? That I don't know, and I'm not really sure. All of those who you are following closely, by the way, seeing John K, Jeremy working together, right? Really beautiful stuff. We pointed out, or John pointed out, that we got over there a Wyckoff expert saying to him it looks like a spring. We also had Alan Al putting out a different perspective, saying, listen, I'm not a Wyckoff expert by any means, but here are some thoughts to look at. And then to see everyone have a discussion, mind-blowing. Like, not people like emotionally trying to prove their worth through a Twitter comment, but really just having an open discussion so we could all be on the, that's conquering the markets all day long. And I love it. Is this the same thing as a bear trap, by the way? The spring or the shakeout when it's sprung over here. I mean, from my mind, or in my view, it's the same thing as a bear trap occurring, or could be a bear trap on its own, in conjunction though with noticing that you go back to the swing low from January and those stops being taken out. I think it's a little bit more powerful in this instance. Now, with all that in mind, I am not by any means calling the bottom here. Things are very uncertain and remain uncertain. What I mean by that is we're coming up into resistance right now. We got to break above that resistance. These clone trend lines, by the way, they're giving the symmetry of the market throughout. I'm going to go ahead and show you right here the top resistance that we peaked into. Follow the mouse over to the left. You can see the market paying attention to that area right over here as well, right? It's not even if we get above here that we're clear, right? Because you have resistance levels all throughout. You could just go ahead and follow them wherever you want. Resistance, support, it's all good. It's all good in the hood. But until we get above this trend line over here, the most important trend line in crypto, we simply do not have any momentum. All right. So that's where we are right now. And where are we? Where are we, family? Well, if you're long and strong, you're feeling a little bit better than yesterday. You're seeing price, coming up 20% in 24 hours or so. Yesterday things were bleeding out. It looked like price could go down into the mid 20s quite easily, at least towards 27,000, where there's a bit of support, right? Today you're like, all right, feels a little bit better, but it's not the time to be calling bottoms. It's not the time to start taking risks or adding risks. And by the way, because we're going to get back soon enough into a lot of momentum. And when I say soon enough, whether or not that is again next week, next month, or into the fall, it's going to happen. And when it happens, people will be taking risks again and people will get comfortable really quick. Remember, anytime that you yourself initiate a trade, you're the one responsible. You have to know as you enter that trade what your risk is. There's no way you know what type of position to be taking without knowing where your exit and your stop loss is. And you have to respect your stop loss. You have to be comfortable if you're participating in the markets with the risk that you are taking on. Otherwise, you do not belong in the markets. This is not for you yet. You could use this as an opportunity to continue to further your education and continue to put the work in and to learn. From my experience, those that are putting in the regular work into the markets, those that are putting in, doing their research, spending time learning, spending time on the charts, none of them are confused. It doesn't mean that things are easy right now for them, but they're not confused. The people that are kind of like, here and there and here, and they're very confused, right? That's going to continue. It's up to you what you put into it. You're going to get out what you put into it. We have over here the year of the bull putting out this beautiful chart work over here. And he's showing us, look, past behavior, look, it often rhymes, that we had a bear trap occur in July of 2017, mid-cycle shakeout, also on top of the golden fib, right? The golden ratio over here, 1.618, is occurring again so far, right? We could break down. We all know that. We don't know what's going to happen, but you can see this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful illustration of that occurring. Also, I want you to notice this over here, this swoosh she has over here, the red line over here, how it goes like this. All right. Why I want you to focus in on that. We'll come back to this in 1 second. Thank you for sharing that, Jeremy. Because I want to focus over here on all right, I don't want to lose your attention. Now follow this red line. It's the same swish, right? Now, listen, is this a bit of hopium for a lot of people? Perhaps. You could look at it or view it as you want. I just want you to focus on the red line. The red line is taking this blue line, it's taking this green line, and so far to date, it's taking this black line, and it's just smoothing out for so you can see the pattern that occurs. And look, that says right there, this by Charts BTC has been put out like a year ago was the first time I even looked at it. He just keeps updating it. And at this particular moment of where we are mid-cycle, it has been labeled for well over a year, bear trap, right? So a lot of people calling, the top of the bull market, that's no different than it, 4 years ago, and is no different than it was 8 years ago. Nothing is new under the sun, right? We got a bull trap coming at the top of the bull market after the blow up top. Watch how many people fall for it. By the way, that bull trap, that's where people like Willie Woo decide to exit. If you get, is it dangerous? It could be. We just saw a bit of a different price action occur, right? We had what is a mid-cycle top, and I didn't recognize it for a mid-cycle top because it wasn't a blow-off top like we saw in 2013. It was, an exhaustion top over 3 months, right? So I didn't recognize it as being a blow-off top mid-cycle in Bitcoin because you all know in the January video, I was looking for a double wave. I was looking for the double wave, but it didn't occur as I was looking for it to occur. So it caught me off guard. The degree of the shakeout was way more than I expected, right? I saw that we're outperforming the previous cycle, underperforming the 2012 cycle to the upside, right? I saw that, we're doing it now to the downside. I didn't realize we're also doing it sideways. You live and you learn, and that's how you get better and better and better, right? So my thought or where I was going with that, I have no idea, except, listen, 4-year cycle, patterns repeating themselves. Take it or leave it. It's up to you. We'll get into that in 1 second. I want to look at this with you. This was shared by Wes, and it's absolutely hysterical. You got to take a moment. You got to have a little bit of fun, right? We're showing the new hope over here as Bitcoin begins its bull market phase. And then we got the Empire Strikes Back. We're waiting for the return of Bitcoin. Thank you, Wes, for making me smile. Grateful for it. Later today, actually right after this episode, I'm going to get on with Ken Stanfield over here. Ken has a model predicting, 486,000 Bitcoin by the end of May 2022. This Medium article sharing everything. I want to know about it. I want to understand it. This is a view of what would be a lengthening cycle, and he's got some analysis that he's going to teach to me, share with me, impart on me and all of you, so that we're always ready to consider all possibilities, right? It's the markets. The markets are ever changing, ever evolving. I want to be aware of what's happening around me. Ken is giving this with precision rather than just putting something out there like, lengthening cycles without a reason. I want to learn about it. We'll get that up for you later this afternoon or otherwise tomorrow, but something that I'm looking forward to learning about. Again, a student of the markets. This is quite bullish, right? George sharing this with me this morning. We're seeing that the Nasdaq Dubai is now launching their first Bitcoin fund. There's a lot of money in the Middle East. There's a lot of money in Dubai. What's interesting is that the person launching or the team launching this fund is saying that, listen, right now, and Bitcoin is coming off a little bit, right? It's off 50%. And it's actually a great time to be launching this fund. It's a win-win for all the investors, right? Because even if, it looks like we put the low in, but even if we haven't and we make another leg down, it looks like by the end of the summer, the latest, we should be going out and making new all-time highs. And anyone, as we launch this fund, better here now at $30,000, $35,000, then back up at 60,000. Everyone's that's getting positioned in here, it's like a win-win for them. It's a good perspective, and it's true. And maybe he's following CTM. Maybe they're aware of the most important trend line in crypto. And yeah, maybe we put the bottom in. Maybe we're rejected here. We make another low, another leg down. But either way, whether it's now or if it's by the end of the summer, once we break this line over here, this trend line, that should set in motion the resumption up towards the new all-time highs. And yes, we should be making new all-time highs later this fall. That's what we're looking for. It is not a guarantee. There is no guarantee, right? The only guarantee is that if you manage this without any type of risk management, you are going to lose your money. The only guarantee is that if you trade off emotion, you're going to lose your money. If you are able to go ahead and change your time preference and look at this in a different way and make calculated moves, there's a good chance you're going to do very, very well. Speaking yesterday with someone, a young father, working a service job and talking about Bitcoin, has heard of it, doesn't understand it. He's like, yeah, but did you hear of AMC? Did you hear of AMC? And just trying to get him, listen, if you could put away for the next 4 or 5 years, $100 a month, but the dollar is just going to continue to devalue in its purchasing power. That if you have $10,000 5 years from now, you're not going to be able to buy the same worth that you can today with that money. Everybody understands that. If you were able to go ahead and put away that $100 a month for the next 5 years, that $10,000 is going to increase in purchasing power. It's not a given, but it's a way to actually view something as a savings technology rather than knowing that and understanding that even if you're saving these dollars and working so hard, you are losing. You're losing in the value of its purchasing power going forward. That's a good way for all of you who are way more active in the markets to view things. Everyone wants things right now and today rather than putting in the time. We all heard Bill Gates's quote, or the one he's attributed for quoting, saying, we all overestimate what we could do in 2 years and underestimate what we could accomplish in 10 years. 10 years is not a long time. And either way, it's coming. It'll be here before you know it, like this, in a blink of an eye, right? 70, 80 years if a man should live, even still is just the blink of an eye when you look back. You got to make moves that are important today for your future tomorrow. All right, what else are we looking at over here? This is mission control. Some astonishing work being put together by the team over here. It is an honor to be walking shoulder to shoulder with Ted, Ian, and not just them, everyone on the Discord in CTM. And by the way, as everyone's going to learn next week inside CTM, there are things that have been shared by everyone out there, right? That have contributed to what has been put together. Listen, I'm going to meet with Ted and Ian next week. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at everything that we've put together and decide how it's going to be presented. We want to put out the model that we believe is the most accurate, and we want to do it with a sincerity where we're not looking to try to like make it work. All three of us are only interested in having a model that works. I don't care who posted on the internet, and that's why I want to look at Ken's model. If Ken's model makes the most sense to me, I want to make sure I'm following that. But I have to say, you know, as things clicked, it's like it was called like eerily, like this is eerily accurate, and it's absolutely astonishing. I cannot wait to share this with you. It's some beautiful stuff over there. There's a peep at it, but I'm not going to show it to you now. I'm going to play some head stack now. It's Taco Tuesday on Wednesday. Let's get it going. We might not.
Markets, analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip a matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing, just to pretend they're in fashion. Take a like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room, grab the bull by the horns and to the moon. Throw from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day.
It's a taco day. It's a taco day.
All right. Let's bring it back over here. There's some good questions over here that I want to definitely look at. And that was over here. Oh, where are they? Comment about. People are so emotional yesterday. People have been so emotional for the last 4 or 5 weeks, you know, really emotional. It really showed their card. It showed who they are, right? You know, a man, a woman, a person under pressure. You get to understand their true value and their true worth. You know, who do you want to be standing shoulder to shoulder as the next state attack comes? What happens if the Federal Reserve launching the digital dollar decides to launch attack against Bitcoin? Or the powers that be behind the Federal Reserve. By the way, that massive squid, right? They got Mario Draghi now inside Italy. They got Janet Yellen inside the US Gov. They are a powerful bunch, right? If all of a sudden we see a state attack coming against Bitcoin, who do you want to be with? You learned who's not able to handle it. You learn who you don't want to be in a foxhole with. I love it. And we're going to see it at the top. At the cycle peak, by the way, a lot of people are going to get very, very emotional. You know, as I sell Bitcoin and you know, whether it goes up 50,000 or down 50,000 in the next couple of weeks, people are not going to be able to take responsibility for their own actions, and it's going to be a disaster. I'm preparing myself for it now. I know it's coming. There was a question about, you know, the inflation. We're going to get into some traditional markets right now. Would be interesting to get your take on the deflation argument, right? Look, and then we have, you know, someone who's been watching day in and day out for several months, if not longer, saying that I understand deflationary forces because we talk about them often here, right? Whether or not it's, you know, anyway, let's go like this. Let's talk about it like this. I'm going to start here. Let me pull up a chart of the DXY as we do. All right. I'm going to come over here. I'm just going to have this up here as I talk for a second with you all. You know, Jeff Booth, by the way, does an absolutely phenomenal job continuing to educate us all on the deflationary forces of technology. You know, very important to consider to understand his argument, Jeff Booth, right? You have people out there, though, that as QE was started back in March 2020, right? You have people who are like, this is deflationary. You have people who, as the Fed expanded their balance sheet by $4.1 trillion, were saying that's not inflationary, that's deflationary. That's the argument they made. today, right now, especially at this moment, 15 months later, they're standing their ground and they're saying, all right, that was inflationary, right? But the market and the participants are all wrong, and the deflationary forces are going to prevail. And maybe they're right. I'm at the point 15 months later, after correctly saying this is going to be uber asset inflationary, right? That then happening, everyone that was on the other side of that argument now being like, okay, that was correct. We can't deny it. Even the great Dr. Lacey Hunt is saying, okay, we see the inflation, right? But now they're like, well, in the long run, I'm going to be right. Well, maybe so, but you were wrong. You can't just say, oh yeah, everyone knows after a recession we see yields rise. Well, then why were you on the wrong side of the trade for 15 months? Because you were, and you doubled down on it during that time period, right? I reinitiated my position. Well, if you were wrong, why should I be listening to you now? If you were that wrong for that long, why? Well, because I want to know the other side of the argument. That's why I would listen to you, right? Did you lose a little bit of perhaps like, how should you say, like the amount of degree that I'm going to trust or believe in what you're saying, perhaps, but I don't know. Right now, are we at an inflection point, a turning point, where if the Fed were to start tightening, we would see that those deflationary forces start again? 100%, but it doesn't look like to me that the Fed is going to begin tightening. All as the Fed did was basically said, yep, things are running hot. We need to verbally intervene here in order to like have them cool off a little bit. More importantly, we brought up what China was doing to intervene, right? As commodity prices were getting really hot. And China actually has a lot more effect right now on the markets than I believe the US does. Now, what happens next, we don't know. It seems to me that the next move, Raul did a very good job articulating this over the past week, that he believes that the Fed's not going to tighten. They're going to be forced to expand their QE purchases. We talked about Ray Dalio just yesterday saying that he believes there's going to be no one there to buy the bonds. The Fed is going to need to actually continue to be the one increasing their QE purchases and buying the bonds. A lot of these people, Ray Dalio included, they see inflation. I don't know what happens next from where we are today. I want to let the market show me, right? But I do know in watching the dollar, we are in a strong downtrend, and why everyone is calling for the reversal of the dollar here, right? When I say everyone who's been this whole time, since this whole time, right? This is where we flip short the dollar. This whole time they've been like holding on to their milkshakes, I call it, right? That's a long time to be wrong, right? So now they're like, every once in a while, they're like, the dollar's strengthening here. The dollar's strengthening here. The dollar's strengthening, and maybe, and we did see the will line broken over here. The will from the high up back in March, April, and then, we had that one test, and now that's broken. That's a sign of the dollar momentum to the downside now waning. That's the first indication, right? But I'm neutral, and I've been neutral as long as I can. I had to go, up here trying to get this right, went long on the dollar, and then quickly corrected myself short. So stayed short, had to go long, quickly got on the right side of the trade. Not only short, but I said, you know what? I have to stay neutral now if we get another long signal. Here's the other long signal. I am neutral. If we break above Raul's neckline over here of this inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, at that point, it looks like the dollar has the opportunity to strengthen. Then you have 1 repair, 2 repair. Now, we will be coming into resistance right away. That's a big move, though, and we will look at that as that occurs. You also have horizontal resistance from where I am right now. We'll look at that if we break the neckline. But right now, keep it simple. Keep it simple. And what do you see? What I see is a strong downtrend, price coming up into resistance, right? And look, it's being rejected by that resistance. If we get back below Will's trend line, it's very bearish, right? Very bearish. So a lot of you can't keep buying the head fakes. Downtrend coming into resistance, and you got this confluence of resistance, including that trend line over there. We are still have that weak posture, more neutral on the break of Will's trend line over here, in this area over here, in this area more neutral, right? If we break out to the upside, that's something that we cannot deny. We're going to have to look at a possible dollar strengthening, but it's too soon. And that's the thing. It's too soon. I said last Wednesday, a week ago, as people all of a sudden were calling for the markets to crash, it's too soon to make up our mind what's going to happen, right? And I said, listen, everything structurally that's happening is still bullish. There's no reason for us to like turn bearish on the markets. The markets are not crashing. And if they crash and we get technical breakdowns, we'll be there to take a look at it, right? And here we have the S&P 500 not yet making a higher high, right? Is it possible? Everyone's familiar with this on Bitcoin, the bit of exhaustion. But then what happened on Bitcoin on the way up, it couldn't make it and rolled over. S&P is not, exhibiting that same behavior. It's trading well within this channel. It's right off the all-time high. Whether or not we roll over here or make that all-time high, I don't know. But there's no reason to be bearish yet. Nasdaq, same thing. Everyone's calling for that big crash. We're like, no, we're into the support. This was right over here on June 24th on this channel. No, this is a rising wedge. We're into the support. Now we're into the resistance on the upside, right? So what do you do, right? Nothing. We're trading well within this rising wedge pattern. If it breaks down here to the bottom, losing that, then we're looking for a bearish resolution. Not yet, What happens if we spike above over here? I mean, are you a buyer? This is not when we buy. And I could say that with saying, listen, when we had the correction, we talked about where it was placed to buy in, breakout, retest, resumption, and we targeted new all-time highs. That occurred. Then we had the other correction, and we did this together. We did the aggressive entry, stop, into resistance, stopped out at break even, and then after we broke out again, retest, resumption. That's our entry, and we did it in real time as it occurred, right? You're holding the trade right now until you break down outside of the support. That's your exit. You don't know what's going to happen, and that's that. So it's a big difference. It's a big difference, and we do it from afar. We don't need to spend our time on this, right? We do it better than Market Watch or anyone else out there, but we don't need to be highly focused in over there. And now, as like the macro bros, once again, throwing on their hats and talking about why these deflationary forces are going to take hold, I have no idea. I do know for the first time in my career, and first time in 20 years, I'm seeing credible people out there talk about inflation actually, catching a stronghold this time. I can't deny that. I have to pay attention, but I also I have to follow what the market's doing, which is why I looked for that inflation last March, right? A year and a half later, I was dead on. But right now, we're at we're mid-cycle, not only in Bitcoin, but, if we're talking about the Fed beginning to tighten in 2 more years for what's going on in the traditional markets as well, right? So I'm not so ready to call either way. I'm pausing here, and as I did last week, 1 week ago, and I was like, let's give it a couple of weeks for the market to show me what's going on, right? So I'm not out there calling for an insolvency event. I'm here saying, listen, let's pay attention to what's happening. Maybe we don't learn anything until Jackson Hole. That's quite possible that it's in August in Jackson Hole where the Fed kind of reveals its next, step and clue, and the markets from now until then are kind of in a holding pattern. I don't know what's going on, but I'm watching, and making sure that I could stay on the right side as best as I can. So that's where we are today. All right. I'm going to go ahead and play some Honeymoon to see if there's any, I do want to briefly talk about gold and silver. By the way, the 10-year, what is it doing? It's dead center. I'm watching the bull flag. We're dead center, right? We didn't get excited into the resistance. We said we're into resistance. We didn't get fearful into the support. We said we're into the support. Right now, we're dead center of that bull flag. If you look at gold and silver, what they're doing, look, I mean, the support's holding, but this is ugly. That's a big breakdown. And we're not seeing a sharp rise, right? Often when you see like a big breakdown and then you see a sharp rise, okay, but we're not seeing that behavior yet. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's not like the water is not clear. It's not like there are sharks out there, and it's not a good time to yet wait for things to repair, wait for things to look better, and then you have another opportunity. Look at the patience we showed throughout this year, waiting for the opportunity. And then on silver, when the opportunity came, we attacked. We waited, we attacked, and then we had to get out. Beautiful trade. It didn't go as far as we wanted, and now we're broke down. And like, you know, do you buy that first support because it's the first opportunity? What's the rush? Just let's wait and see. It's better to be, if you're a swing trader, you want to be trading with momentum. You're looking for the sweet spot of the trade. You're not looking to catch the bottom. You're not looking to catch the top. You're looking to catch the middle momentum. All right? That's where we are today. I want to play some honeymoon just so I can see if there's any questions, any further questions we're going to talk about. Otherwise, I'm going to, we're going to close this out so that I could have a little bit of sip of coffee and then get online, send out Ken the meetup invitation over here so we could get going and look at, you know, what he's presenting, showing what, a top in May of 2022 would look like. Just for fun and interesting, Matt Odell put out a tweet like last week saying May of 2022, Bitcoin, $500,000, $500,000. It's the same target as Ken. So, you know, if I want to see what's going on, I want to understand a different perspective. My perspective, what's Jordan's perspective, what's CTM's perspective? I follow the 4-year cycle, right? And there are those out there that like, listen, I don't follow cycles. I don't follow the 4-year cycle. I don't consult past behavior. Well, that's all well and fine, but there's no way that I called the bottom over here in December 2018 and then called in January 2018. Within 3 months, we're going to see a price move up to 8,400, nailing it. There's no way at the bottom over here in November, I call out in December 2020, Bitcoin at $18,000. And there's no way that everyone is positioned so well so early, right? Without understanding Bitcoin and the 4-year cycle. There's no way that people were able to held and understand risk was to the upside as we broke out here without understanding the 4-year cycle and what comes next. Do not delude yourselves. The only reason that everyone here is so well positioned is because of the 4-year cycle and understanding the past cycles and putting together, understanding this time is different, but you have to pay attention to what happened in the past. All right, it's not going to be live. We're going to record so it could be polished and we make sure that we present Ken as well as possible, you know, for sure. Let's go with some honeymoon over here and then we're going to go ahead and close her out. Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you for everyone who makes this community so special because you have that growth mindset. You're looking to be a better person. You understand that you make mistakes, but you're looking to learn from those mistakes. If you haven't yet hit that like button, please smash that like button. Help other people see what we're doing over here. Thank you, Cassidy. Thank you for doing that, my brother. I really appreciate it. That's right, they put the man on the moon. They put the man on the moon, which hasn't been done since. Right, so what a good question over here. How does the dollar strength, when they print the dollar hand over fist, just in the last year alone, 40% or as as close to that number as accurate possible, we're not able to run a node, and we're not able to confirm and verify for ourselves what's going out there with that US dollar, right? That altcoin. But listen, approximately 40% of all dollars were created since March of 2020, right? How is the dollar not losing strength? It's a debt-based system, right? And there's not enough dollars to cover the debt plus interest out there. So there's never enough dollars. It's a really good idea to understand people like Brent Johnson's logic on the dollar, but don't get confused with like falling for their opinion or narrative, especially when they're, for so long so wrong, right? But you want to understand why they form those opinions, because there's a lot of amazing information in there. But you have to triangulate. You have to, listen to opposing views, and then you make up your own mind of which part you believe to be true. And as time goes by, continue to affirm that and confirm that by always being aware of all different vantage points. All right. So good stuff over there. Everyone, have a beautiful day. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dan. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to each and one of you. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.